Hello, welcome to Rowan Kaiser's Let's Play for RimWorld. I'm getting back in the Let's Play business for this game because it is freshly released on Steam and new and exciting, and people may be into this. Today I am going to be trying to actually, for the first time, launch my damn spaceship, which is sort of the end goal of the roguelike thing. I'm going to go random though, unless the starting location or starting people are just super awful. So this is cold. Boreal forest, flat terrain, with a coast. This is a pretty rough starting location. I think I'm going to randomize that again. Mountainous is my preferred one. I think it makes the game more interesting. Very, very mild climate. Little chilly, but not much else. So this is a good spot. Perhaps too good of a spot, but oh well. I like to play on a slightly bigger map. I'm just going to make sure that these people aren't totally awful. This guy's not great, but he's functional. Not great. Nate doesn't do dumb labor or skilled labor, so he's still going to be useful because of the high social and the high shooting and medicine. So these guys are going to add up to be tolerable for the start. I'll get into why later if you're new to RimWorld. Alright, before the game starts proper, I like to scan the map first for resources that fall without me seeing them potentially. And then second, to find an ideal spot for my new colony, which is here. This is it. That is very clear. My characters are falling here, so that's not too far away. Yeah, so in case you're wondering, I like this zone because it is relatively spacious, enough to grow some crops. It is directly connected to a huge mass of mountains for building deeper into, and it is super duper defensible. I can just slap up some quick walls here and then turn this area into a kill zone that should wipe out any enemies that come around this corner. So yeah, it might be a little bit small here for my crops when I head out to get to a bigger colony level, but I could expand up into this region and put up a wall there, or build crops outside the walls and maybe occasionally lose them to an enemy attack, or given the fact that this is an extremely chilly region, or not extremely chilly, but it said it only had a growth period during the summer, I might just not rely on crops that much, or I will build underground crops using the sun lamps and hydroponics that can be researched. But let's start. I get my characters loaded up. Nate is my soldier. Give him my best gun. Stone is melee. Oh, it's me! Look! Marat is slightly better with the gun than Stone. my resources. Yeah. Now, I don't see any particular reason not to just head over to this zone immediately. It's close enough that I'm not going to waste too much time building resources. There's some times where, like, say, you want to build over here, and there are giant mountains in the way, and so you set up your temporary base where you land. I don't see any buildings nearby. Here's one. Here's another one. Those are usually where I set up my temporary barracks at the start. Actually, there might be a hidden valley through here, so I might actually change my mind, but I'm going to build some wooden beds anyway, while someone goes off to investigate that potential valley. I should check and see who does what work. Price is my only character who constructs, repairs, mines. This is a highly specialized group as it is. So, cancel that from Price and see about this mining here. The way that you can see if there are valleys is, first of all, you can look for broken walls like this. There's definitely something through here. It might be just a tiny little room or a little cave, or it might be a full-on valley filled with crops. But usually the best way to tell if there are valleys is to look for sort of pointers from another valley, like here. If I were to dig this way, I might uncover something. Here's one that you can obviously see as it is. If this were, on the off chance that this wall went all the way through, actually it's more likely, on the off chance that these walls all the way through, this might be covered to me at first. However, I would be able to see this sort of pointer and say, oh, there might be something if I were to keep digging. And clearly there is. Yeah, this is not a great map for that sort of thing in general. I have seen others, but this one might do it. I told you to prioritize your mining, buddy. There we go. It's not a huge thing, but it might be a place for me to dig over from here to put my crops in. As you can see, this is pretty fertile ground up if you're looking at the bottom left. As you play RimWorld, you can see the fertility. This sandstone is obviously not, and then there are some of the brown here is gravel, which is vaguely fertile, so not tremendously fertile. A lot of this is gravel, but it's still a nice little area that I might want to take advantage of, but I'm definitely not going to have my buildings all go there. So let's build my first room. This looks like a good place to have the least amount of work for the most space. I generally like to do my planning while it's paused and then play on higher speeds. It got me in trouble in the last game I played when I found an ancient evil and was not able to pause the game quickly enough so that my characters didn't open it before they were very ready. So that was a swift, merciless death. I didn't see what kind of pet I started with. Timberwolf isn't that. You start with one pet. Ah, it's a Yorkie. Yorkies are not great. They can't haul, nor rescue. Obedience and release are good for combat, but I don't really want to have the dog go into combat. It is more likely that he will die than actually do enough damage. So let's set up my stockpile zones. Slight issue with this, setting up this, there's not a great dumping stockpile zone. I'm going to put one here. That's, the dumping is for basically these blocks and steel slag. When I get stone cutting, I like to have the stone blocks cut there because it makes it more efficient to do the work. The regular stockpile is the more important one for me to deal with at the start. Now that I have that built, my characters should start transferring their food there, except that only one of them actually hauls, so this is going to be a bit of a rough start. I'm not sure I put a door in. I think I'm going to want to do that. Yeah. And there we go. I have achieved my first goal. Second goal, I am going to throw up a quick wall here. One of the reasons I don't like to put a wall in all the way around is that the enemies will attack it, and I want to control where they are attacking from. This is not a 100% ideal zone to create my kill areas. You can see that there's a tiny little hole here that might have something interesting inside, so I'm going to knock it open. But there are places that the enemies could hide behind there, so I might not want to give them that opportunity if at all possible, but sometimes that's not possible. Or it's not possible to make it impossible. Whatever, you know what I mean. Set up some crops since it is summer, and this is apparently the only growing season that I'm going to have. Potatoes. Corn. Strawberry. Nobody can actually plant strawberry. That's a problem for getting my heal roots set up. So I guess I will grow some rice as well. So I'm gonna set up an animal bed for my Yorkie. Start hauling things to my dumping zone. Was my hauler again. Oh, I do have 2 haulers. That's good. Looks like they've already brought some food, but let's bring the medicine over before they go to sleep. Nate is my... Nate's not great. Nate will be great as a warden, as a doctor, potentially as a hunter. I will probably need that given the climate here. But the total lack of basically any sort of economic ability here means Nate would be better as a mid-game addition for fighting and research than he is as an initial character. Well, I suppose that's one way to deal with things. Maybe he will accidentally kill some animals, or maybe he'll burn through my food supplies. Alright, the second thing that I think that you should do in RimWorld is to build a freezer. The freezer is to me, the center of your colony, and everything sort of radiates around from it. I like to build the freezers under the mountain. If you look at, if you hold the mouse over certain parts of it, you can see that there's a rock roof. Here is an overhead mountain though, so I want to get the freezer deep enough in the mountain that it's going to be covered that way. The reason for that is that enemies will occasionally show up with artillery and besiege you, and if you don't decide to go and attack them, they can bombard you, and you don't want them blowing up your food supply. So I think I'm going to have my kitchen here, and perhaps build my freezer here, and the dining room here. That's seems like a legit collection. So I'm going to dig in deep enough to find out where that overhead mountain is. I don't know if you can see my friend messaging me on Steam, but he's excited about RimWorld too. The rain is going to help with that fire starting spree. I don't want you consuming that, I want you hauling that, buddy. I'm gonna try to tame the fox. Foxes can haul things. They can't rescue, so they're not as good as a large dog, but Nate doesn't even have anything to do. I need to get him to start hunting or researching. I usually don't build a research bench so early, but Nate's quirkiness makes that something that I think is necessary. What are you doing here? Hauling steel. Some of these benches need power, and therefore you need to have a roof above them. But that's not the case with the simple research bench, so even though it is raining on Nate's papers, he's totally fine with it. Price as my miner, I believe. Yes. So, I'm largely waiting on him to wake up. And we will. Good on him for wanting to grow crops. We need him to mine in order to cook those crops, but, you know, whatever works. One thing that this area does not seem to have is an abundance of mineable resources. Super near. And, yeah, tiny little area. Alright, let's Overhead Mountain seems to start pretty early. Looks like it's the starting zone, so we'll build from there. That is a good-sized freezer. The other thing the freezer will need is ventilation. There's not a good, clear option for that at the moment. So, I may just set that to create a ventilation shaft when everything is ready. This is some heavy-duty rain. I think I have landed in Portland here. Not the ideal place for solar power, but that's what's coming next. Now it wants me to have a meal source and defenses, which honestly, I think all I need to do is, well, maybe I could just clear this all out, and so create a direct firing line down this way, and then shave off these corners. Gotta get this medicine out of the rain at some point. Set up a little zone for batteries here. Visitor with some traders. I think usually the first event. The second is a wanderer joins, and hopefully that wanderer will be a miner. Not. It says they have things to trade, but that's a bit of a lie, I think. One of the things to look for when picking out a colony is also the steam geysers. Eventually you will be able to build geothermal vents above them, and those are by far the most efficient sources of power in RimWorld. However, there do not appear to be any of those terribly near my selected choice. That doesn't mean that I'll never be able to use them, it just means that it's not quite the perfect zone. There don't appear to be one in making a defensible spot better. The only one that I could argue for is that one. I might expand in that direction anyway. Set up a kitchen here. Fludion is the name of the studio that created the game. It's a cute little addition. I like to skip directly to the powered stove. My solar collectors are operating at full capacity despite the whole hasn't stopped pouring rain since I got here thing. So that might not be. I will break these down for component parts at some point in the future, but my characters are not so good at hauling things, so I don't really. Don't carry only 5 steel. Come on, buddy. Carry a full thing. Get it together, RimWorld colonists. Don't carry only 35. Carry as much as you possibly can. Alright, now it's not an ideal setup, but I have a kitchen running. And I can set it to automatically butcher creatures and automatically make some kibble for my pupper. This means that I can also send Nate hunting instead of researching, which is not gonna bear too much fruit this early on. I want to tame the fox, but well, not super great hunting options here. Sometimes if you attack does or bucks, they will all come after you. The ibexes don't do that, so. Sorry for not having the evolutionary wherewithal to deal with my human crap. That was not a great place for the solar panel. Good way to walk through there. Pig is an ideal thing to hunt. Just start churning out simple meals is a good way to start. And the freezer should be ready soon. Which is good because these corpses are just going to rot if I don't get them. Butchered. The squirrel may eat my food. I do not like to have wild animals running around my core area. That's it. Awkward phrasing. I don't like to have the vegetarians because they'll eat my crops, and I don't like to have the carnivores because they'll eat my pets. Or occasionally my people. That has happened. I had a dude get torn apart by a grizzly bear. It was kind of a disaster. It stopped raining. Harvest some raspberries. Is my miner also my only cook? Oh my god. Going to increase the priorities on what price accomplishes. And I am going to pray that the goddess of random number generators gives me a VR designer. Oh dear lord. That hair too. Well, at least he does mine. Doesn't haul or clean, but he does, looks like everything else, at least mediocrely. The cooking is going to be the main thing that I hope he can use here. Construction and growing especially. With the growing I could get the strawberries and some heel root going. So strawberries are the fastest growing food stuff. Well, that's not a great place. Well, heel root is, as far as I can tell, the only way that you can actually get new medicine yourself. Price seems to really like these fires. Regardless, I now have a functional freezer. Again, take my cooler and set it to just below freezing. And hopefully those things will be cleaned out. Change the storage so that the foods and animal corpses and potentially much later in the game, natural body parts for organ donation / harvesting are available. I also want to create a direct route between the kitchen and the freezer for obvious reasons. And then I want to say, don't put food here. And don't put animal corpses here. The human corpses can go there, of course. Although eventually I should build both a tomb for my characters and a graveyard for enemies. Also make this a higher priority. And that is a pretty good start for RimWorld. Scott is throwing a party. He must be very excited to have joined. I don't entirely know why. Maybe he's coming from a bad place. I hear game design can be a bit rough. While we're at it, let's create a party zone. I'll buy my new horseshoes pin. And I'm gonna dig a pile of graves for the impending enemy attacks. I could just let their corpses rot. I think I'm going to research Devil Strand here because eventually I'm going to start building clothes, and apparently this is very good for clothes. I just have almost never gotten it early enough that it's my best option, so I'm going to try to do that. With stone cutting, we'll get started on churning out stone. I'll set up the defenses here. I think I'm just going to take out this wall entirely. I think that is my best bet for defenses. He's attending his own party that he set well outside the colony in order to celebrate the colony that he just arrived. The party that he should be attending is the fire putting out party that is not actually going so great here. I might lose some crap. Yeah. I don't think it can actually burn to my freezer, but some of my crops are going, and it's possible my initial housing could go. I hope it doesn't hit the solar generators. These guys are kind of getting trapped. That's not good either. The turtle's on fire. Scott does not appear to be capable of fighting fire, so he's trying to actually work on shit as my entire colony burns around him. Price, meanwhile, is playing horseshoes. So is Scott. This is just absurd. And it's finally over, thanks to the rain. The tortoise is burned to death. My dog is burning to death. I lost 3 of my 4 beds. For fuck's sake. I might need to get rid of Price if he keeps doing this. It seems like the climate is generally going to be a way to avoid that. Oh, I lost my whole kitchen. I lost my... well, that seems like a good end for part 1 of the Let's Play. I'm really not sure what I could have done to prevent that. There are... I believe I could have had someone attempt to fight Price down, but that might have actually caused more damage. I would rather not lose a character. I would rather lose my crops and a bunch of my resources than have any single character die this early in the game. So Yeah, I probably still should have done that and need to know about that in the future, but yeah, that's just the luck of the draw. Sorry to Eludion, but they made the game, they sleep in it. Part 2 coming soon. I'm going to try to come back from this minor disaster. So I will see you then.